Hey, what's going on there, YouTube?
What's up out there, everybody?
This is SCL0320.
This is Joe Johnson 030.
Representing JVS. We just came back from New York Comic Con last night. We spent all 4 days. We saw so much, dude. Like, we saw the Randy Supergirl episode in the big screen. We saw clips from Legends of Tomorrow. We saw, Person of Interest clips, Blind Spot, Gotham. But I think the coup de grace out of all the different panels that we saw was having to be the Jessica Jones and the Daredevil panel, where they actually gave us the first trailer for Daredevil season 2, but then the whole entire cast were there, and then of course they showed the Jessica Jones first episode of the pilot. The show is going to be coming out November the 20th, and I mean, before we even do this review, you've already seen my early review for it. I really loved it. Like, I cannot wait for it. But this review is gonna be all spoiler filled, and I can't stress this enough, y'all. You do not want to be spoiled by this. If you know the Alias comics, if you know Pulse, if you know that Jessica Jones' like superhero alias name was Jewel, then yeah, okay, watch this and be riveted by it. If you don't care about spoilers or whatever, then just know either way is a lot, okay? So, you got anything to say before we start this?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know how I feel about this, like spoiling it before the episode is even out. But we'll do it, you know what I'm saying? If you don't want to watch it, don't watch it. So, yeah. Responsibility, leave it, put it in your hands, balls in your court, viewer.
Alright, with that disclaimer, we're about to start this review. Jessica Jones, episode name is AKA Ladies Night. So, first thing that happens is craziness. No, I mean, the first thing that happens that we see is the world of Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones, she is basically sneaking around, taking pictures of people, technically investigating, but she gives a groundwork narrative that way she does stuff, the how she does stuff, people don't necessarily like it. She gets the results, but whenever she gives people help, most of the time in her world, it ends up with a lot of backlash, but she still does the right thing anyway because she has to get it done. Because the first thing we see is her investigating somebody cheating on somebody, and I mean they do not hold back. This is a sex scene that starts off with somebody in a telephone booth, and then it progresses into a car, and like, I mean, it's straight a sex scene. I mean, I'm sitting there looking at nudity, and I'm like, whoa, this is kind of dark, you know what I'm saying? But it shows a light into what kind of person she is. But then when she gets to her house and she kind of opens up the door, I'm like, man, this door is jacked up, and I'm thinking to myself, she broke this door, but then she kind of sleeps it off, but you see all this alcohol all over the place, and at the point that she tries to go to sleep, you realize that this girl has some serious trauma, that mentally and emotionally she does not feel safe under her sheets. I mean, basically the way you see her house and the way that she kind of just tries to sleep and rest, she's just got this unsettlingness about her. And it's like every time she tries to go to sleep, something happens. You see like the hues of the wall and stuff like that, they go straight purple. And it implies that somebody is basically kind of tormenting her, or her mind has been messed up by something, But what things did you see, I guess, progression of the first part of this episode? And you can go into the different characters as well.
So the first opening part of the episode, you see her investigating or taking photos of these two individuals getting it on in the alley. And then she calls, I guess, the person who pretty much commissioned her, which
Hagarth.
Oh,
by the way, that's being played by Carrie-Anne Moss. Trinity.
Trinity from the Matrix series.
But the character Hagarth was supposed to be a male. and they made her be this main role of I think her name is Gerald. What was it? Jerry Ann. I think it's supposed to be Jerry, but they named it Jerry Ann Haggard, which is really cool. But I like the way that she played the role.
Yeah.
Like
she's different. She's totally different from.
She's dark.
Yeah.
But then you know that she believes in Jessica Jones, but it's like I don't know how to describe it.
They have a weird relationship because like initially she was talking, like Jessica was talking to her, and she was like, they were talking about like the method, like she was like of how she got her job done.
Yeah.
And Jessica was like, I know you don't agree with my methods, but you need my methods because no one else will take these jobs and something like that.
She didn't disagree.
Yeah, and I mean pretty much like her boss, her boss is like, you know what I'm saying, like pretty hardcore, like, you know.
Yeah.
But they both are in a certain degree.
Yeah.
But Jessica, she's more like sarcastic, and you know, kind of like this. Both of them really tough. Both of them really tough.
Yeah. But
so I mean, after that scene, like, yeah, so you definitely get like she's with this episode and how she plays her character so well. One thing you notice is that she has a lot of internal struggles. Like you can see that on the like how the subtle actions in which like she does without any dialogue.
Yeah.
And not only that, but just like when she's on her cases and when she's helping people, there's different nudges to where like she's like going one direction, and you see her like stop herself and like really have like this conflict in her head, like, all right, nah, I have to do this.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so great, it's so good.
It's a good character.
Yeah.
Because she's flawed. I mean, it's not just like she's
like super flawed.
She's not fundamentally flawed. Like she's been flawed by circumstances. Oh yeah. But no, it's how do I put it? You find out that this girl has been manipulated and her mind has been warped by this person that basically kidnapped her or had her under her will. I mean, I can't tell y'all specifics of what happens next. All I can say is the character has a way of getting to people's minds and making them do whatever they want. Because one of the things, the next case she gets is from this random couple, and the couple say, we were told to come to you. She's like, really? From the police? She's like, that's strange, you know? And when I was sitting there listening, I was like, it doesn't add up. You find out later on that the case is basically that her daughter, the daughter of the two parents, they can't find her, they haven't been able to get up with her, and she's just doing all these different kind of things. And so she goes and backtracks and looks through the credit card records. She's buying like lingerie, she's going to expensive restaurants buying this, and she's like, wait, you know, she literally, you can see the trauma all over her mind. And she stops herself and she thinks that this is something that happened to me. And you find out that the person that literally taken this girl is the same person that has taken and abducted and manipulated her mind. Because she goes to the restaurant, and it was the same as that restaurant that she had went to. And basically, in my opinion, it implied that she had been not only like abused mentally and physically, but also sexually. Because she goes and like she runs outside and she starts repeating like her house location, where's the next block. And I think that the process behind that, like she had a therapist that basically told her what to do when she starts having those kind of mental breaks. And so she's dealing with some real PTSD, is what it really all boils down to. And when she does interact or intercept the girl towards the end of it, that girl was so messed up that it was dark, y'all. Like, I mean, it was darker than certain things that happen in Daredevil. I mean, I've seen people get like the head crushed in, and like you see a kid basically kill his parent or be okay with killing the parent. But I mean, the psychological manipulation of people, to me, can be so much more darker because it changes everything about the aspect of who they're supposed to be, what they believe in. They just become void of all emotion. And you really see that parallel between this young girl and Jessica, because she knows everything this girl's gone through. But the difference with Jessica is that when we start seeing her going and investigating other people, you realize this girl can fly. Like, she finds out this one dude, he has information about something, and the dude tries to speed off. She's behind his car. She lifts the whole entire car up with her bare hands. So she's got superpowers. And it's so subtle. Like, I mean, you know how, like, certain superhero movies, like, they go and, like, exhibit their powers in all these different kind of random ways. She doesn't like to show it. But when she has to, she does. And it's so funny to actually watch. And especially with this young girl, like, I mean, Jessica is just strong mentally, emotionally, and physically. But this girl, she's not strong at all. And, like, how everything plays out with her and her parents, like, it's so dark, man. I was sad. I was sad for the whole entire thing. And Joe's right, because at a certain point, once everything ends towards the very end, Jessica really just walks away. She's trying to get out of town because she's not wanting to interact with this person that has abused her and oppressed her all these years. And she knows this girl has a direct connection to it. Not just that, it's implied that the reason why she's on the case is because this guy sent her parents to him. Sent the parents to Jessica. And she wants no part of it, but she ends up in her mind and mentally, she's like, I gotta go and do it. And I love that about the character. I really did love that about the character. But the person I've been talking about this whole entire time, if you haven't guessed it, it is the Purple Man. The Purple Man, throughout this episode, you hear his voice, you see him, you see, like, one thing, I think what happened, like, she was asleep, all of a sudden something's licking her face, and you realize this nastiness, you know, and I'm like, it just disappears, and she wakes up from it. This girl has been tormented by this person, and it's played by David Tennant. He was Doctor Who, but he's playing Kilgrave. He's playing the Purple Man. He does not make an appearance, like, face-wise. They've not shown if he's purple or not. It's just every single scene is hued out in different purple. But I think eventually it's going to come up. Yeah. But I guess the things I would just to talk about is, to finish this off, is Luke Cage. Luke Cage is the man. He's different. He's really different. Like, you don't really know too much about him. But if you know the character, you know he's super strong. He cannot be hurt physically. But he's dealing with some psychological struggles because you see him time after time going on these different dates. But what's so weird about it is basically Jessica stalking him. She's going across the street just looking at him, and I don't know if she's admiring him or if she's just fixated on him. But she's really been telling him, and every single time that she kind of gets close to him, her emotions start pulling back again. It's like she almost had to go through that whole PTSD thing of recounting stuff, of what's her location, her street address, and this and that. That plays into later on with the young girl when she deals with her situation. But there's a point where Jessica finally does intercept him, and they have their first meet and greet, and it's really weird because he realizes that, I think he's known that she's been watching him, but then, like, they kind of have this flirt back to back, but she's like, dude, I get what I want, like, I don't, you know, and he's like, well, what do you want? After that point, they go to, like, them just having sex, and it's just like, I mean, it's so random and weird, but there's a lot of psychological things that are really happening, because a lot of y'all, if y'all have not read Alias, the scene that happens, the actual sex scene, is actually in the comics. And basically, throughout the scene, Jessica knows that this man having sex with her really is going to feel guilt later on about it, but she doesn't care. She basically, in her perspective, she wants to feel something. She wants, even if it hurts, even if it's bad, she wants to feel something, and she doesn't care if that hurts him or not. And, like, even at one point when they're sitting there having sex, he was like, I could really hurt you. I don't want to seriously hurt you. Like, you will get hurt. She's like, I can take it. And he realized that's when they go back and forth with their sexual lingo or whatever. But at a certain point, you realize that Jessica's just become void of all emotion altogether, and she's just sitting there just kind of taking it. And it's just really weird and ominous and dark, and it's straight from the comics, though. And that, to me, as a comic book reader, even though I didn't want to see this, I can't recommend this series to everybody just from this being the first episode. They are staying true to the mythos of who this character is and how flawed and how messed up she is, and her interaction with this man that eventually, spoiler alert, will be her husband. So it's really interesting. And even when, like, there's a scene where he's kind of looking up like this and you can see his back, and she's kind of going into the bathroom. She looks and she sees a picture of a woman, and she's like, man, this guy's with somebody, so I can't use him anymore, you know, basically. And she just kind of walks out. Like, that is straight from the comics. And for them to go on all these different homages and taking the mythos and taking the characters, like, everybody acted it to their utmost, in my opinion. Like, they did not hold back. Even freaking Hogarth has this weird relationship.
Oh, yeah, so she's got some, you know, she got some dirt too. Like, she's got some dirt too going on. Like, she's in a relationship, and then she's like messing around with her secretary.
Yeah, which Trish is Jessica's old friend. And it's so entertaining. I'm not sure if Jessica knows it. I think she's gonna find out eventually. But Trish she's that to me. Trish and Jessica's relationship is what a real female relationship would be in real life. Because when people are really mad at each other, like, they call themselves out on it, especially girls. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Or why did you do this? Or why did you put, like, they really go and break down these different kind of walls. And you find out a lot of Jessica's psychological profile and what's happened to her and about the Purple Man and, like, what really is wrong with Jessica through just their interaction. That, to me, it really showed, like, she really cares. They really care for each other. I really like that scene. I really like the scene between Trish and Jessica. But I mean, as far as the acting is concerned, what did you think about the acting, so we can go ahead and end this off?
The acting was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
like, there wasn't, like, they didn't give room for, like, doubt to, like, they're not playing the actual character. Like, I was like, okay.
It's not campy at all.
I was like, yeah, alright, yeah, this is how someone would react in this situation.
Yeah.
Given the circumstances. Like, I've never seen these circumstances, but if I did, I would figure this is how they would react. So they did a good job on acting, especially handling the dialogue between when issues arise. Yeah. Like that one scene you were talking about with Jessica and her friend
Trish.
Yeah, her friend Trish. Basically, I mean, that was a good scene.
Oh,
they acted that pretty well too.
They did. Even like other sub characters, like the guy Malcolm. His name is Ika Darville. He was in Empire. He was in the Vampire Diaries. Oh, not Vampire Diaries, but Originals.
Yeah.
He plays this character that is basically a drug addict, but he's best friends with Jessica. He was like randomly in her house at one point, and she's like, "What are you doing in my house?" He's like, "This is my house." He's like, "No, this is my food. You eat." And he's like, "Oh, dang, I didn't realize." And it's so different, fun, dark humor, but the main actor, Kristen Ritter, that was in Breaking Bad, she really naturally just embodies this character to me. And I think that she's going to get awarded for it in a later time. But I mean, to have David Tennant, Carrie-Anne Moss, Rachel Taylor that's playing Trish, I mean, all these different actors are really good. Even Rosario Dawson's going to reprise her role that was in Daredevil in this one. And to have Mike Coulter being Luke Cage, and they're already filming his part. I mean, Mike Coulter, he's making it, man. He's like Locke in Halo 5 Guardians, and then now he's Luke Cage. I mean, like, all these actors, they are taking these roles so seriously, and they're acting them in a non-campish way, where most of these cinematics like that have been coming out have been really campy. They've been really campy, to be quite honest with you. I mean, there's been some subtle ones that have been really good, dark, but they still stay at a certain demographic, where these can go so much dark and they can go so many different ways. But one thing I'll say is that for me personally, it's going to be really hard for me to go and binge watch this series, because by the end of this episode, it was hard for me to digest. There's a lot to take in. I don't think I could sit there and go from one episode to another. I'd kind of have to take a break. And then 30 minutes later, like, okay, all right, let me figure out what happens next. Because it's so much weight. I mean, like, they talk about a man that manipulates people's minds, women's minds, and does what he wants to with them, or anybody else. I mean, then you have a girl that is fundamentally emotionally flawed, that she's projecting to everybody else, and she's got superpowers. Like, what? I mean, she could manipulate and hurt people just as much as she could, being a byproduct of what happened to her. Even though she's trying to do investigation to try to help people, like, she in turn might be getting off on seeing them get pain. And that's the thing, that's the fundamentally flawed part, but it's a really good character makeup, and I really liked it. I gave the episode a 9 out of 10, Joe. I really liked it, but what did you think? What's your final thoughts?
I mean, I think it was a great episode.
Rating?
I don't know.
You gotta give it a number this time.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to rate it too early, but I'm gonna definitely wait and see how, like maybe the first couple of episodes do, and I'm gonna give it a rating. But I mean, it's a good show. The only thing I can actually maybe compare this episode is the only thing I can compare it to is Daredevil. I mean, based off that, it's definitely interesting. It's different, man. I'll give it a 9. I'll give it a 9.
So a 9 out of 10 for you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Shoot. So, can we recommend this for everybody? No. I mean, there's certain parts of Daredevil that, I mean, they don't go there as far as the sexual maturity, as far as like, you know, psychological abuse. They more so go on deranged and violent. But this show is, I mean, it's on a different kind of level of grittiness and darkness. But it really is well acted, really well executed. So it's gonna be one of the better shows that Netflix has ever had, let alone one of the better superhero shows. Because this, I mean, to me, if I had to compare this between Supergirl and, you know, you have a superhero and you got another superhero, like this is more grounded in reality and just on a dark level. Whereas DC's is like more campus. It's like DC and Marvel, they switch roles. You know how DC's normally like more, you know, gritty and dark. And this one is just going for it. And I mean, to have a strong female lead, even though she's going through all this adversity and abuse and stuff like that, fundamentally flawed and flawed just in general, she makes for great character characterization. And I really can't wait for the next episodes coming out November the 20th. So this was our spoiler-free review. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Leave a like below if you did. Leave any comments below if you want to know anything more about it. Let me know. Maybe I can go and say I don't want to spread this to everybody, because you're gonna be better off going at it, looking at it without, like, you know, being spoiled ahead of time, in my personal opinion. But if you don't care, hopefully you actually like this. But that's our review for a brand new Jessica Jones episode, aka Ladies Night. And oh, by the way, the whole purpose of the Ladies Night is because basically at Luke Cage's bar, there's a Ladies Night. So just so you know. Anyway, have a blessed one. JVS, we out. Take care, y'all. Deuces.